The Iron Bowl. You have to love Alabama and Auburn going at it in everything college football related. I don't care if it's on the field, if it's off the field, if it's the portal, if it's high school recruiting, if it's whatever. But now for sure, there will be a direct parallel between these two bitter rivals in the 2023 season. It's time to examine who has the better quarterback situation now. Is it Auburn or is it Alabama heading in to the 2023 season? We'll find out here on Southeastern 14. Hello, everyone, and welcome into Southeastern 14. I am Blayne Gilmer. I do college football coverage here with Chris Lee and Blake Lovell, and they'll be joining me later on as we get closer to the season. I've been kind of holding things down on the offseason here on the football front, but it's time to react to Auburn landing Payton Thorne from Michigan State. This is a deal that is a big deal for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers. Why? It simply adds depth, which Auburn did not have at the quarterback position. You cannot go into a season with two scholarship quarterbacks, and that is the situation they would have had with TJ Finley having left the program. Really only two guys that were viable options, with Robbie Ashford being a guy who started the latter half of the season for him last year and did some good things with his legs, was still growing into himself as a passer. And then they had Holden Garner there, who is a redshirt freshman that doesn't have a whole lot of experience. So TJ Finley leaves that program. Like I said, they were needing a guy, and Payton Thorne goes into the portal at Michigan State, brings his 26 starts with him to Auburn. I think that is the biggest thing about this, is that they're getting a guy in the Plains that has played a lot of football, which is something they haven't had. Robbie Ashford, he played last year, but it wasn't like they, fully turned over the keys at different points. I mean, there were still rumors of, competition this spring and things like that. And it was supposedly open. TJ Finley ends up realizing the writing on the wall and leaves. But the thing about Robbie Ashford is it just wasn't a competent passer of the football last year. 123 of 250, 49%. Now, you could blame a lot of that on, Brian Harson's offense, all that kind of stuff that's going on, all the turmoil and transition that they had to go through last year. Didn't have a great wide receiver core over there at Auburn either. That didn't help Robbie Ashford out at times, some offensive line issues. But I would argue that when you're looking at this, Tyler Buchner, who has transferred in from Notre Dame to Alabama, he's not that much different of a guy than one Robbie Ashford. In fact, I'm not certain that Robbie Ashford is not a better quarterback right now than Tyler Buchner is for Alabama. So what does this tell us about this situation? If you're comparing quarterback rooms, I think the combination of Payton Thorne and Robbie Ashford gives you a higher floor than what Alabama has over there in the combination of Simpson, Milroe, and Buchner. But I think if you're looking at a higher ceiling, it's definitely the Alabama side, because when playing at his absolute best, Jalen Milroe can light you up. Same thing with Ty Simpson. Same thing we saw, Tyler Buchner, what he did against South Carolina in their bowl game for Notre Dame. So I think ceiling-wise, Alabama has the higher ceiling, but Auburn's the floor of the minimum quarterback play I think that you're going to get now is basically the safer of the two quarterback rooms is Auburn's. And I think Payton Thorne brings stability that Hugh Freeze needs. Some people are going to question maybe the fit in terms of Payton Thorne into Hugh Freeze's offense. Listen, when you go and watch Payton Thorne, he's a very capable runner in his own right. He's a guy who can do the zone read, the power read game, and be able to to get you some yards, and even, you know, in the red zone, he's a threat to be able to pull it, and you have to account for him, or he'll run it into the end zone. He did that for Michigan State quite a bit actually during his tenure there. But the thing I think that's most interesting about Payton Thorne is now, who would have thought of these two schools? And, you know, you've had Bryce Young there, and Robbie Ashford was returning. So I guess on paper, everybody was like, well, okay, yeah, Auburn's going to have the more experienced quarterback next year. But I don't think anybody would have expected the disparity to have been this differently. I mean, you're talking about a guy in Tyler Buchner who very likely, listen, when you're the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame and you come to Alabama and you go through spring practice and you look at things and say, hey, we still need a quarterback. Neither one of these two have elevated themselves in Ty Simpson or Jalen Milroe to make us confident that one of them is the guy. And you also have, it's not like you just have to have another quarterback body, because there's two freshmen there, and Eli Holstein and Dylan Lonergan, that they could have definitely depth was not the issue with Alabama. Alabama did not feel confident in those guys. They were not up to Nick Saban's standard, so they went out and they brought in a guy in Tyler Buchner. Yes, this is still going to be an open competition, but if you are Alabama and if you are Tommy Rees, you have hitched your wagon now to Tyler Buchner, because you cannot look Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe in the eye and say, hey, you know, still got confidence in you guys. You two are my guys. We just thought we needed to go add this and that. No, you brought in Tyler Buchner to be the guy. That is what is going on here. And we'll see if he's capable of producing at that level. I would bet heavily that he wins that job, which is interesting to me, because Tommy Rees was one of the main reasons that Tyler Buchner no longer had his job at Notre Dame, because they went out and they brought in Sam Hartman from Wake Forest. So Tommy Rees wasn't very confident in what Tyler Buchner was going to do there at Notre Dame. And people can say, oh, well, Tyler Buchner already knows the system of Tommy Rees. No, he does not, because Bill O'Brien, Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, anybody who has been under Nick Saban will tell you that you are not running your offense. You're running the offense that Nick Saban allows you to run. And you're going to use Nick Saban's terminology. You're going to use Alabama's terminology. You're going to use Alabama's base principles in designing your flavor of that offense. So Tyler Buchner's got to come in and learn things new as well. Same thing. He's on the same plane with Payton Thorne in terms of that. However, what Alabama does not have is they don't have a quarterback with anywhere close to the sample size of what Payton Thorne has done. 26 games started. He's completed 61% of his passes, and that was really the big deal for Alabama in the spring game. Neither one of the two quarterbacks completed over 60%. They were both in the high 50s in terms of pass completion. Listen, Alabama's receivers are far and away better than Auburn's as a group right now. Okay, Alabama has a really good group of wide receivers. So I still think whoever, which I think it'll be Tyler Buchner, whoever wins the job at Alabama still is in a better spot to produce and has a better team around them. But when you're talking about Auburn, Hugh Freeze, I think that Payton Thorne is going to be able to do some really good things. You got guys like Javarius Johnson, Nick Martiner that transferred in. So, we'll see how those guys end up producing. Rivaldo Fairweather is a guy that I think Payton Thorne is going to love throwing the ball to. I mean, he's a big guy, 6'7", 6'8", that transferred in at the tight end position. And I think that, they've got some other guys there like Luke Deal and Tyler Fromm. So I think tight end is actually going to be a position of strength at both Alabama and Auburn. And two, Alabama and Auburn are both going to be looking to be physical in the run game this year. Hugh Freeze, Philip Montgomery, they want to be able to run the football well. Tommy Rees, one of the main reasons that he's brought to Alabama was to bring some more toughness. We saw Justice Haynes go crazy in the spring game, freshman running back, and Alabama is looking to put a little bit more emphasis. They've got big offensive linemen over there. They got a guy like Caden Proctor, a freshman that could be starting at left tackle that just blots out the sun. He's so huge. And when it comes down to it, there's a lot of parallels between these two teams actually and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. I think it's very, very interesting. I think if you had to ask me, top line starter, who I think has the better quarterback this year, I think Payton Thorne is singularly the best out of all of them in terms of what he has produced and what he has the ability to do for Auburn, especially with a short summer of these quarterbacks to kind of establish themselves here and get things on the right track. But you're talking about ceiling. Alabama's three quarterbacks all have a higher ceiling, but I'm not sure they're going to be ready to produce as quickly as Payton Thorne will. Please leave your comments below. We'd love to hear what you think about this situation. And also subscribe, like, turn on notifications. Little Iron Bowl portal competition here at quarterback. Alabama versus Auburn. Who got the better end of it? I'm Blayne Gilmer. We'll catch you guys next time.